What if the biggest World Cup in football history is also becoming the most controversial? Right now, millions of fans around the world are counting down the days until FIFA World Cup 2026. For many supporters, this tournament represents a dream. More teams, more matches, more countries, more football than ever before. But behind the excitement, a growing number of journalists, experts, and even fans are asking a question that would have sounded impossible just a few years ago. Has FIFA created a World Cup that is simply too big to manage? Before we get into it, make sure you're subscribed to FIFA Nation Report because the road to World Cup 2026 is producing new headlines almost every week. And while you're watching, tell us your country in the comments and which team you'll be supporting in 2026. Whether you're backing Argentina, Brazil, England, Spain, Portugal, France, Mexico, the United States, or another nation, we'd love to see where our viewers are watching from. Because the story you're about to hear isn't just about football. It's about money, politics, travel, security, weather, and a tournament that could change the future of the sport forever. The strange part is that none of this was supposed to happen. When FIFA announced the expansion of the World Cup, the reaction from many fans was overwhelmingly positive. The idea sounded simple. More nations would get the opportunity to compete on football's biggest stage. Smaller football countries that had spent decades watching from home would finally get their chance to make history. It felt like a win for everyone. For supporters, it meant more matches. For players, it meant more opportunities. For broadcasters, it meant bigger audiences. And for FIFA, it meant creating the largest World Cup the world had ever seen. At first, the plan looked brilliant. Then reality started to set in. Because expanding the World Cup wasn't just about adding more teams. It changed everything. The tournament would now feature 48 national teams instead of 32. More teams meant more players. More players meant more staff. More staff meant more hotels, more transportation, more security, and more logistical planning. Suddenly, FIFA wasn't organizing a larger football tournament. It was organizing one of the biggest sporting events in human history. And that's when concerns started appearing. Not all at once. Not in dramatic fashion. But slowly. One concern became 2. 2 became 5. 5 became 10. And before long, discussions about the football itself were being overshadowed by discussions about everything surrounding it. The first major issue was geography. Most World Cups have been relatively concentrated events. Even when tournaments covered large areas, fans could generally move between cities without facing extraordinary challenges. World Cup 2026 is different. This tournament will stretch across North America on a scale football has never experienced before. For television viewers sitting at home, that may not seem like a big deal. But for supporters attending matches, the situation looks very different. Imagine following your national team through the group stage. Now imagine discovering that your next destination is thousands of miles away. Flights, hotels, transportation, time zones, additional costs. Suddenly, following your team becomes significantly more complicated than many previous World Cups. Some fans have already begun calculating what it could cost to attend multiple matches during the tournament. And for many people, the numbers are shocking. That leads directly to another controversy. The money. Football has always been a global game. One of its greatest strengths is that people from every background can fall in love with it. From wealthy cities to small villages. From developed nations to developing nations. Football belongs to everyone. Or at least that's the idea. But critics argue that attending World Cup 2026 could become increasingly difficult for ordinary supporters. The cost of flights continues to rise. Accommodation prices often increase dramatically around major sporting events. Transportation expenses add another layer. Food, entertainment, and local travel create additional costs. And then there are the tickets themselves. For many supporters, attending a World Cup has always required sacrifice. But some fear that this tournament may push those sacrifices further than ever before. And when football fans start talking more about expenses than matches, people begin paying attention. Yet surprisingly, money isn't the controversy generating the most concern. Because there is another issue that could affect fans before they even enter a stadium. Getting into the host countries. Think about it. A supporter spends months preparing for the tournament. They save money, book flights, reserve hotels, purchase tickets, plan every detail. Everything is ready. Then suddenly they discover that travel requirements are more complicated than expected. Visa questions, entry procedures, documentation requirements, processing delays. For millions of international supporters, these concerns are not theoretical. They're real possibilities. And while many fans will likely travel without problems, the uncertainty itself has become part of the conversation surrounding the tournament. Nobody wants to spend thousands of dollars preparing for the biggest sporting event of their life while wondering whether unexpected complications could affect their trip. But even that isn't what worries some experts the most. Because once fans arrive, another challenge begins. Security. Every World Cup requires extensive security planning. Every stadium must be protected. Every team must be protected. Every supporter must be protected. But World Cup 2026 isn't operating on a normal scale. The sheer size of the tournament creates security demands unlike anything FIFA has faced before. Millions of visitors, multiple countries, numerous host cities, thousands of personnel, countless moving parts. The larger an event becomes, the more complicated every security decision becomes. And in today's world, organizers know that one incident can instantly become global news. One disruption can dominate headlines. One mistake can spread across social media within minutes. That's why preparations have become so extensive. Yet despite all the planning, many observers continue asking the same question. Can anyone truly prepare for an event this large? That question becomes even more interesting when another factor enters the picture. A factor nobody controls. The weather. Most football fans focus on players, tactics, and results. Few spend time thinking about thunderstorms, heat waves, lightning, extreme weather conditions. But organizers have no choice. Because weather doesn't care about schedules. It doesn't care about television contracts. And it certainly doesn't care about World Cup plans. Several host locations could experience summer conditions capable of disrupting matches. That means delays, schedule adjustments, logistical complications, and potentially frustrated supporters. Now imagine a crucial knockout match. Millions are watching around the world. The atmosphere is electric. The stakes couldn't be higher. And then severe weather forces a delay. It's the type of scenario that sounds unlikely, until you realize officials have already been discussing the possibility. And as if weather concerns weren't enough, another debate has emerged. Player welfare. For years, football calendars have become increasingly crowded. Club competitions, domestic leagues, international tournaments, friendly matches, qualification campaigns. The demands placed on elite players continue growing. Now the largest World Cup in history is being added to that equation. Some football figures have questioned whether the modern calendar is reaching a breaking point. Others argue that players are more prepared than ever. But regardless of which side people support, one thing is clear. The debate isn't going away. Because this tournament is unlike anything football has attempted before. And what makes the situation even more fascinating is that every controversy seems connected to another. Expansion creates more matches. More matches create scheduling challenges. Scheduling challenges create travel concerns. Travel concerns create cost concerns. Cost concerns create fan concerns. Fan concerns create public debate. It's like a chain reaction. And with every passing month, the conversation surrounding World Cup 2026 becomes more intense. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Because despite all the criticism, there are many people who believe these concerns are being exaggerated. People who believe football has faced major doubts before. People who believe every historic tournament comes with challenges. And people who think World Cup 2026 could ultimately become one of the greatest sporting events ever created. In fact, some supporters argue that the controversy itself proves how important this tournament has become. After all, nobody debates ordinary events on this scale. Nobody analyzes every detail of a competition they don't care about. The reason the world is watching so closely is because the stakes are enormous. And that's exactly where things get even more interesting. Because the biggest controversy surrounding World Cup 2026 may not be travel. It may not be costs. It may not be weather. And it may not even be security. There is another issue quietly growing in the background. An issue that has the potential to overshadow everything else. And when we uncover that issue, you'll understand why some experts are calling this the most politically complicated World Cup football has ever seen. That story is where things truly begin to escalate.